Rainbow County 911. What's the location of the emergency?
You have an emergency. Our daughter is unresponsive. She's drunk a lot of water. We're trying to pump, CPR to get it out.
Tell me exactly what
Our
happened.
3-year-old daughter is choking on water right now.
Your 3-year-old daughter is what?
Choking on water right now. We need help immediately.
Okay, we get help on the way.
Okay.
Is she coughing like choking, or
no,
is
she's
she
not
underwater?
Ariel Robinson from Granville, South Carolina, USA, was a middle school teacher. Being terrible in the kitchen would make Robinson a reality TV star. She found fame in 2020 by appearing in season 20 of Worst Cooks in America on the Food Network channel, a show that follows people with poor cooking skills as they compete in a series of boot camp style challenges overseen by celebrity chefs. She was crowned the champion on Worst Cooks in America after showing the most improvement, walking away with a $25,000 prize. Viewers of the show later discovered that Robinson was married to her childhood sweetheart, Jerry Austin Robinson, and that they shared 2 sons. She revealed that the money would go towards her family and the 3 children she was adopting with her husband.
We stopped by her home to learn more about her experience competing on the show. Fox Carolina's Jarvis Robertson sat down with the winner and is live tonight in Greenville with more with that interview.
Cody, Ariel Robinson says being a competitor on Worst Cooks in America was a confidence booster and also educational experience. She told me earlier today they did film back in February in New York before the pandemic started. Now she's just happy to be home and her life has changed for the better.
But now I truly am not the worst cook in America.
But she is the winner of Food Network's Worst Cooks in America Season 20.
Yes, I am putting mayo in a glove.
Ariel Robinson lives in Simpsonville. She's a wife and mother of 5 and a big fan of the show. She told me through the years she's been teased by her husband and her sister because of her cooking. After some thought, Robinson decided to submit to become a contestant.
You don't have thick skin being in this family. Your feelings might be hurt, but when you done hurt it all, it was just another day.
She describes the experience as a surreal moment for herself, trying something new and exciting, but on a grand stage.
I always compare it to college because we were all away from our responsibilities, away from our kids and our families.
But that doesn't mean she wasn't feeling the heat in the kitchen.
I never cried one time on the show. I was just suppressing it because I think I was so nervous that if I released too much, I'm gonna release too much.
Working in close corners with some of the people she's come to know through the telly over the years was rewarding and encouraging, but also tough. Those same celebrity chefs weren't always easy through their coaching.
You know they're hard on you because they really want you to succeed.
The opportunity may have come with big likes, preferential treatment, and the likes, but it was something that had to be earned with hard work.
Out of 11,000 people, I was one of 14. Then I had to not only beat everybody on my team, I had to beat the best person on the red team who would beat everybody on their team.
Robinson and Jerry were the foster parents of 3-year-old Victoria Rose Smith, who was nicknamed Tori, and her 2 brothers, aged 5 and 7. In January 2021, they were only days away from officially adopting Victoria. They were looked at as a real poster couple for giving children a much-needed home. Becoming a reality TV winner gave Robinson a voice that she used on social media. On the 6th of January 2021, she tweeted that while her black and white children were treated equally in their home, that might not be the case in the outside world. She wrote, "It's a shame that as a proud mum to 4 beautiful boys, I can't protect them from the reality and evil of this world once they leave the house. However, I will fight and use my voice to make a difference. I'm a mama bear and I'll do anything to protect my children and make sure their futures are equally bright." Robinson was seen to have a sense of humour that led her to try her hand at stand-up comedy, and through this she can be seen making jokes about beating her children.
I'm gonna adopt a baby girl, and the social worker, they have to come over and, see that you're not too crazy to adopt. And so, the whole way she's coming over, I'm telling my husband, I said, you know what, we should have locked the other 2 up in cages because if she meet them 2, ain't no way they gonna give us enough. She gets there, it's too late. They upstairs hollering, screaming. Where the moms at? Where the moms at? Okay, yeah, y'all don't like y'all kids either. So they upstairs joking. It's a game, you know. I put them, they put me. We got approved.
On the evening of January the 13th, 2021, Robinson took Victoria to church. When she arrived, Victoria threw up down her dress, and Robinson was seen in the bathroom washing it out in the sink. A member of the congregation asked if Victoria was unwell, and Robinson told her that she had a habit of eating too much and making herself throw up. "It's a game," she said, as a little girl had to leave the building without a dress on. The next day, Jerry called 911 from their home and said there was an emergency with Victoria. He said, "Our daughter is unresponsive. She drank a lot of water. We tried to do CPR to get it out." When the paramedics arrived, they found Victoria unconscious on her bedroom floor. Robinson said she had downed a huge amount of liquid and she thought she may have choked. The emergency responders spotted bruises all over Victoria's body, and Robinson suggested that they had been caused by their CPR efforts. She then blamed them on one of Victoria's brothers, a 7-year-old, who she claimed had anger issues. Victoria was rushed to hospital, but her injuries were so severe she could not be saved. Shockingly, an autopsy revealed that she had died from blunt force trauma and internal bleeding. She had dark bruises on her abdomen, abrasions on her face, and bruising on her back, ears and both legs. Victoria had been beaten so severely that her blood vessels had burst. The blood had collected in her muscles and body fat, restricting the blood flow to the heart, which had most likely stopped it being able to pump and led to her death. Grenville County Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Michael Ward testified that if we lose enough blood, the heart doesn't have enough volume to pump. The police questioned Robinson and Jerry. Robinson tried to blame Victoria's brother, but it was clear he wasn't physically capable of doing such damage. However, she and Jerry were. Jerry then told investigators that his wife had beaten Victoria. He said it had started when Victoria vomited in church, which had made his wife angry. She had made Victoria leave the building in just her underwear because her dress had been wet. It seemed cruel to not even wrap her in a coat or find something to keep her warm. Robinson was heard telling Victoria, "Oh, you're cold, you're cold. Girls that make themselves throw up deserve to be cold." On the 19th of January, Robinson and Jerry were arrested. Robinson's TV fame meant the case made the headlines, and the Food Network removed the Worst Cooks in America series featuring her from circulation. In April 2022, Jerry pleaded guilty to aiding and abetting homicide by child abuse and agreed to testify against his wife.
Abetting homicide by child abuse. That here is 10 to 20 years. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
That is classified as a violent and most serious offense. Is that your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
In other words, that's 2 of your 3 strikes with regards to life without the possibility of parole. Do you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you discussed this charge with your lawyer?
Yes.
Are you happy with what your lawyer's done for you?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you plead to this charge?
Guilty.
All right.
At Robinson's 4-day trial, Victoria's graphic injuries were shown in court. Her biological family wore blue ribbons as a symbol of child abuse prevention and were visibly upset by the harrowing evidence. Jerry told the jury that Robinson would often lose her temper and it wasn't unusual for her to be violent against Victoria. He testified that Robinson would get especially angered by Victoria's eating habits and beat her with a wooden paddle and belts. Jerry said the morning after the church incident, Robinson didn't think Victoria was eating her pancakes fast enough, and her frustrations grew. Jerry said it wasn't the first time she'd been furious about Victoria eating slowly. "Sometimes I'd eat a piece of her food to help her out," he admitted. Jerry said he'd gone to do some work in the yard, and his wife had given Victoria a whooping that he said he could hear from outside of the house. It had lasted about an hour. He described walking in to find his wife beating little Victoria with a belt. He told the court, "I told her, you went too far this time, and I should have stopped it." Robinson took the stand in her defence and tearfully described Victoria as a perfect child who didn't have any behavioural issues and was very easy to get along with. She said, "She was my mini-me. She used to talk like me, act like me. She wanted to be everywhere I went." When asked about the incident in church, she testified that they had been running 15 minutes late on a 25-minute drive. Robinson said she had seen Victoria eating chips and swigging water, and then she had thrown up when she got to the church and admitted she had been frustrated. She said in her defence, she was sitting in a glider and holding Victoria in her arms when the child went limp. Robinson stated that she never saw bruises on Victoria's abdomen and legs until after she was arrested and was shown photos taken by the police. Robinson said Victoria was the girl she had always wanted after giving birth to 2 boys. On the day Victoria died, Robinson said she made pancakes, got Victoria from her room and worked on her computer as the child ate for about an hour. Afterwards, she said that Victoria played in her room and came out to say that she had wet her pants. She said Jerry then changed her and Robinson sat with her in the chair with a heated blanket because Victoria was cold. She acted like she was going to throw up, she said, and went on to say that she had used the Heimlich manoeuvre and then CPR while her husband called 911.
I hollered for Austin to come upstairs, and he came in the room when she was on her stool, and he looked at me and he was like, "Is she breathing?" And I said, I hear her trying to breathe. I hear something in her lungs though. It sounds like she's got like fluid in her lungs." And so they said, "Should I call 911?" I said, "Yeah, call 911 because I don't know what to do."
Under questioning from her lawyer, she said Jerry lied to her repeatedly through their marriage and that their marriage was shaky due to the lies and limited finances. She said she intended to leave him and take the children after the adoption was finalised. She also testified that they had set up cameras in their home because Victoria's biological brother had anger issues and would hit her. However, the cameras only live streamed, so they didn't record the goings-on in the house. Robinson said that during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jerry was working while she was at home with the children, and the cameras had acted as an extra set of eyes and ears for her. She then pointed the finger at her husband and said he had one of the scariest types of anger issues, adding, "He holds everything in and he doesn't let it out, and when it does come out, it's too much because he bottles it up." In closing arguments, the defence said Robinson's husband had cut a deal for less time in prison, and his testimony was not credible and could not be trusted. The prosecution said Robinson had lost it and was guilty. "The evidence is clear, and if you believe her, she failed to act," they said. It took about an hour and a half for the jury to deliberate and reach their final conviction. The verdict ended the 4-day trial in which Ariel and Jerry testified. Judge Letitia Verdin said during Ariel's sentencing, "In my 13 to 14 years as a judge, I've never seen anything like this, not even approaching it." Robinson was found guilty of homicide by child abuse. She was sentenced to life in prison.
In this case, was incredibly heartbreaking, and for folks who deal in the emergency room and who serve us in that way, and folks who deal with children in the most critical of situations, for them to say that this was substantially worse than anything they had seen, I think that has to put something into perspective for you. And what compounds it is that I understand what your attorney is saying. Perhaps you snapped at that moment, but then why let this child suffer and not get her medical attention that she desperately needed as she lay dying in her own bedroom? Based upon all that, the sentence of the court cannot be anything but life in prison. Thank you.
The family of Robinson was seen leaving the courtroom in tears, slamming the door behind them. A loud wail was heard from the stairwell as they left. Jerry was sentenced to 20 years. He said that he thinks about Victoria every day and wishes he'd done things differently. He told her family, "I'm truly sorry for all of this. I hope that one day you can all forgive me." The judge told him he'd failed Victoria and his own children, saying, "You didn't go to stop it, you said. She's gone too far this time. That means there have been other times." Victoria's biological family said this was the justice they were looking for. They criticised social workers for not noticing the abuse. They claimed they saw pictures of Victoria on social media and noticed bruising, but nothing was done when they reported it. The family is campaigning for reform and better screening for foster families. The 3-year-old's biological parents, including mum Casey Fairs, held an emotional funeral for their baby girl. Victoria's biological family and her other foster mum gave her a funeral after fighting hard for the privilege to bury their child. The social services had initially said that the child would be laid to rest quietly, and their family would not know where or when. Friends and family of Victoria made so much noise against this decision that the agency relented.
Yes, we are hearing from that upstate mother who says she gave birth to Victoria Rose and raised her just until last year. She's explaining why she's no longer considered Victoria's mom legally, of course, but she's also pleading with the court to let her be part of the decision about Victoria's burial.
Amber Worthy has more outside the family courthouse in Greenville County.
Yes, so Casey says she's doing what she can to make her voice heard and owning up to some of the mistakes she made, but she's also making a plea to the judge here to let her into this process. It's been 13 days since the Greenville County coroner says 3-year-old Victoria Rose Smith was pronounced dead after officials responded to a call to a Simpsonville home. Casey says that was her daughter until she signed away her parental rights in the last year to Victoria and her 2 sons.
That's not anything that anybody can say that we weren't good parents. We just made bad decisions.
She admits that she made mistakes, but she says she did what DSS required her to and had a good experience with the agency up until she signed away her rights on the assumption that it was the best thing to do.
And I just rushed into a decision thinking that it was what was best for my children and that that's what I should do, when I really feel like now I should have done anything but.
She says it was here at this park where she had her daughter Victoria Rose's baby shower and several other gatherings with her sons. Casey says she just wants to lay her to rest in Travelers Rest at a church where they have a family plot. They hope officials will let her do that.
You know, if something was taken from you and then hurt the way that it was hurt, and all you want to do is lay their soul to rest, I mean, what would you, if it was your family, what would you do? That's what I want to say. If it was somebody that mattered to you, wouldn't you want the right to bury your family the way that I want to bury my daughter?
The little girl's favourite things were placed with her. A blanket she had used when she lived with Casey was placed under a spray of pink roses, carnations and lilies. Casey also added a teddy bear she used to love, while Victoria's former foster mother Tiffany Huggins placed a mermaid. A preacher spoke about the girl everyone described as sassy and smart, and the song Dancing in the Sky played in the background.